Hello YouTube. One of the most important message I try to spread on this channel is to stay natural. It's the reason why I picked this name, and it's the reason why I'm so belligerent when it comes to protecting what I believe to be the best way to lead your life as a lifter. The natural way for me is the supreme way, and is the one I want to see everyone espouse. And to do that, of course, it took a lot of work because if you've paid attention, it's not as cool as it used to be natty. You even have people who start to say that being natural is stupid, you won't make any gains, it's a waste of time, etc. Which are all mindsets that promote drug use and in the long term also promote misery. And so I combat them with vigor. The way I do it personally is I try to restore the pride of natural lifters. I try to show you guys that natural is the way to go because you can still get an amazing body, an amazing physique that you can then keep forever. That the spirituality and the strength of mind you will develop as you stay rigorous, as you keep free from drugs, is going to be at the end of the day much more of a payback than any amount of steroids would ever give you. All of these are, of course, also creating a sort of group, right? It's necessary. I want people to feel like they're included, like they're in a family. It's the way to combat toxic ideologies. You create a mirror ideology that promotes different values, values that are correlated with virtue, and you tell people that there is pride in it. When you can make people believe that being virtuous is the good thing, but on top of that, the most efficient thing, that is when you win them over. And it's something that all of you guys respond very positively to. You have now restored in your own heart the pride of being natural, and that is great. That is the way to go. If you want a movement to be big, you want to make it as attractive as possible. Between a weak horse and a strong horse, people will always pick the strong horse. If natural lifting is to prevail, it needs to become strong. It needs to be attractive. Naturals need to have amazing physiques, juicy physiques, because it is impossible to convince people to stay natural if you have no results to show for, and if you cannot exemplify the boon and all of the benefits that being natural are going to bring into your life. And that is what led to me creating the 10 Commandments for Nobleness, which, by the way, are just my own thoughts and opinions that I believe would beneficiate the most amount of people. But it's in the same vein. I'm trying to show you guys that it goes beyond just being natural, that this group of noble natties we created goes beyond just not taking drugs. It also is in the virtue that we exemplify, that we want to actually spread forth. We want more and more people to behave like this. Because keep in mind one thing, I see being natural and refusing drugs as the start. It's a baseline, it's a given. To me, you shouldn't get a pat on the back because you don't do drugs. No one should do drugs. We need to be greater than that. Noble natties cannot just be natties. They also need to be noble. And that is through virtue. That is through our ability again to show that we are good people with good methods that must be joined because we have the solution, we have the truth. A group that has no truth to offer is a group that is not going to actually attract any people at all. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the key of the movement is still to stay natural. We cannot remove that from the movement because if we do, it loses its purpose. There is a certain point where we have to be able to go beyond that, but at its core, the Noble Natty movement is a movement of natural lifters. That is what makes the most sense. It's, as I said, a given. It's the start. You cannot start if you're not natural. And that is the type of mindset that one, creates cohesion within the group, but two, also is going to create exclusion. And that leads me to a message, a comment I received a few days ago. A comment from someone who took steroids in the past, who stopped taking steroids, and who told me, hey, NH, I was on drugs. I've stopped taking drugs. But I understand also that I can never go back. I can never reclaim my natty status. So what does that make me? Can I be a noble natty? Or am I going to be doomed? Do I have to stay in the darkness forever? What is in the cards for me? And that is an amazing question. A question that raises a lot of philosophical and ideological answers as well, because the first reaction would be to say, well, you took drugs, that means that you're doomed. You committed an irreparable sin, and we can never take you in. You will never be a noble natty because you can never be natty again. And it's something that I'm not going to discuss, and I'm not going to deny. If you have taken drugs, you can never call yourself natty again. Sadly, this train has left the quitté la gare, as we say in French, has left the station. It's a mistake that you did. It's irreparable. You won't go back. Once you cash your natty card, it's over. And that is for the best, by the way. The reason why we do that is because we want to prevent people from being able to take a ton of drugs and then just, being off for a few months and then selling bullshit to naturals pretending to be natural themselves. It's the reason why this rule, this clause had to be put in place. But it also leads to a few extremities. It leads to a few tendencies that I personally don't appreciate. For example, when I see people who fucked up when they were kids, who took drugs, then regretted it and made something of themselves without the drugs, who then get singled out and are being told, hey, you're just as bad as this guy who's been on PDs for 10 years. That to me is unfair. And it's a certain tendency and it's a certain trait that I want to see gone because, and I know it's going to shock some of you, I might even fail the purity test in the eyes of many of my viewers, but to me, someone who took drugs, yes, can never claim to be natty again, but what they can do, however, is they can become a noble natty. And that is a little bit oxymoronic because they're not natural. So how could they claim to be a noble natty? Well, to me, it's very simple. The most important part of noble natty is the noble. To me, that is what we need to strive towards. As I said, natural is a given. We are born natural. If we are not able to be more than that, then we have failed. And then the endeavor is going to fail. This group and this movement is going to fail. Because keep in mind that people have tried for years and years on YouTube Fitness to create a natural movement. It has never managed to succeed. Why? It's not enough. Because you are born natural. There's no efforts put forth to accomplish this. So there is no pride. You cannot actually get people to be cohesive around that type of idea. It's too light. But that also leads me to believe that because being natural is not the most important part, it also means that people who are not natural, who regret their drug use and who want to join the movement should be allowed in because it's not about purity. I'm someone who considers himself to be extremely ideologically pure, but I also understand that projecting that onto others has a tendency to aggravate people, to alienate people. Your values are your own. If you start to project it onto people and you force people to be exactly like you, that's when I have a problem with it because it looks to me like you're not really 100% on your own values because you feel the need to force people to follow them. If you knew your values were solid and correct, you would just act and people would copy that. That's where the problem is in this situation. If we start obsessing over being natural or not being natural, we're going to go down the path of natty or not, or all of these people who have the physique of a table tennis player, and we're going to tell you, well, I'm so much better because I'm natural. No, you're not. And I know it's going to piss off a few of you guys, but I want you to know that there is no pride in staying natural if you make nothing out of that natty status. You're natural and you have no physique, you don't train. Okay, cool. So you're just a normal human. You are not a noble natty. Just because you are natural doesn't mean that you are a noble natty. It's the reason why the noble part is the most important. And it's also the reason why you better work. I don't want to see people actually slack off just because they're natural thinking, oh, we did our job. No, you didn't. Noble natties need to train. They need to develop their physique and their mind. Why? Because you promote the movement with your own existence. It's not enough to just exist. If you exist as a skeleton, do you think that's attractive? Do you think that people are going to look at you and think, oh, I'm going to stay natural? No, if anything, you're an advocate for the other camp. You're going to promote PDUs because people are going to take one look at you and think, oh, that's the natty way, that sucks, we don't want that. I know that I convince a lot of you guys because of my physique. All of the other natties, the noble natties on YouTube Fitness that have channels that promote that type of lifestyle have good physiques and they're strong. It's the reason why they're so they are so able, they are so capable in promoting it. If we were all small and skinny, you wouldn't listen to us, and that's very important. Because being noble is a set of actions. It's not a state of existence. Keep that in mind. Being natural is, right? That's undeniable. You're either natural or you're not. It's not about what you do. It's about what you've done or haven't done. Have you taken drugs or not? That's clear cut, all right? But beyond that, the nobility in being natural comes from what you do. You can't just exist. You can't just be a natural. And that also leads us to the concept and the idea that being natty by itself means nothing. It's the type of values that you are going to project that matter. So, between someone who is not natural because they've taken drugs, they fucked up, and someone who doesn't do that, who's still natural, but the first one actually promotes a healthy lifestyle, a virtuous lifestyle, and trains, and the other one is just a bum that sits on his ass and plays Fortnite, I'm going to say that the first one is more of a noble natty than the second one. And I know it's annoying to hear, but again, you don't get a card and you don't get to join the group just because you so happen to be natural. We expect you to be natural, but we also expect you to do more than that for your own sake. The last thing I want is to provide you guys with a sense of falsely acquired superior morality, because you are not morally superior just because you're natural. You did a good choice, you're better off than the people who fucked up, but after that, then there comes the work. That's when you're supposed to actually strive and go forth and go forward. Because even though the past mistakes cannot be erased, even though the guy who reached out to me was correct in assessing that he can never go back on being natural, that does not mean that he doesn't have the ability to make the good choice, to actually join a good cause and to make his life better. And it's a message that I think is incredibly important, because I don't want you guys to think that I am just an ideologue and that I just want people to be as pure as possible so that we can all call each other noble and just feel better about ourselves. That has never been the case. The case is that we need to create a movement that is going to accomplish things. How can we call ourselves noble natties if we refuse to actually reach out and help our fellow brothers? How is it acceptable when someone is in need, when someone actually messed up, took drugs, and turns to us and says, hey, do you think I can make something of myself? Do you think I can be saved? What would we be as humans, as men, if we said no? But what are we supposed to say? Oh, no, because you took drugs, so you're not natural, so now you're doomed forever. That type of mindset is completely opposed to what I believe. I believe that everyone deserves a second chance as long as they ask for it and they make efforts. These are my two conditions. So, for the guy who asked, yes, you can be a noble natty, but it's going to take work on your part, because yes, if you want to join the group, it's going to be through actions, because your state of existence is not going to align with the natural way, just like people who are natural are not going to be aligned with the noble way simply because they never actually took drugs. You might have been one bad day away from taking drugs. I know I was. I know that if I fucked up and took drugs and regretted it, I would have wanted to be embraced by the group. If we don't do that, you know what happens? These same people are going to be recuperated by steroid users. They're going to fall right back into the hands and the arms of the demon, and they're going to fuck their health up forever. We are there to promote a healthy lifestyle. That is the number one thing that we do. That's the reason why we are so ahead of the pack, is because what we preach leads to a long, healthy, and happy life as a man. This is our superpower. That's what noble natties represent. But if we turn down the type of people that need that type of reality check the most, then what even is the point of this group? What is the point of noble natties if the only people we convince are people who are already natural, who are already in? The type of people that need to hear that message are the ones that want to stray away, that wanted to take drugs. It's the type that I touch the most. I have many of you guys who reached out to me and told me, hey, NH, I was about to jump the shark and take drugs, but you convinced me otherwise. That's the noble natty way. These are the people we need to help. So if you're not like that and you were never tempted, understand that these are the souls that need your help the most. If you close the door on their face because they so happen to have fucked up, or even worse, because they have desires and are tempted by PEDs, what exactly is your purpose? What are you accomplishing? In my opinion, you're not accomplishing much of anything. You just think that you're superior and you're just gouging yourself off of that superiority, and you have developed an inability to be helpful, and nothing can be worse than that. The superior spirituality of Nobleness is not found in our disdain of PED users. It's found in our understanding that taking PEDs is a mistake, and we have a set of examples and arguments to offer people to show them and prove to them that staying natural is the way to go. But we can never verse into elitism. I'm sure that you've seen that in the past. Good, virtuous movements that got destroyed from the inside because they got so elitist that they started to just close the walls around themselves. They refused to take people in because they wanted to gatekeep a practice. But what is the point of gatekeeping anything here? We want more people to join. We want more people to develop a pride in being natural. So any attempt at pushing people away should be rejected, unless they are parasites and people are going to join our midst just to destroy us and rot the core of the movement. Any person who wants to align with the commandments, wants to live a healthy life and develop as a man, these people need to be welcomed in. Because anyone who shares our values and regrets their drug use is welcome. That is the principle of redemption that, by the way, most healthy ideologies espouse. We are humans, we're going to make mistakes. If we were to eliminate every single person that made a mistake, most of you guys would die on the spot. I would die 15 times on the spot. I have sinned times and times again, but I was allowed back in. I was given a chance. As long as there is a willingness to repent, there is the choice for redemption. And that is something that I want to say to every single person that took drugs, feels bad about themselves, and wonders, can I be a noble natty? Can I actually embrace a virtuous lifestyle? The answer is yes, but only if you make that choice. And anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who's going to turn their back and spout about the superiority of noble natties and how much more morally inclined we are, all of that is nonsense, because at the end of the day, morality is practical. A morality is applied to allow the most amount of people to live a healthy and virtuous life. So a morality that is exclusionist is one that is simply not going to work here. It's one that we cannot embrace if we don't want to become a cult, because that's how cults are also created. What type of order, I say, would we be if we turned on our back on our brothers, on the ones that need ourselves the most? These are the souls that cry the loudest. These are the ones that need our help, because they're the ones that faulted, they tripped, they need to be picked back up. I understand that the first instinct of the strong is to disdain the weak. I'm the same way. But the virtuous instinct should be to help them up. And it's something I said in the commandment videos. We are there to uplift each other. We climb the mountain not to toss rocks at the faces of people who climb after us, but to help them. If one of our brother had his rope cut off, or he's struggling to climb, he made a mistake somewhere, are we going to abandon him to die? No, we're going to pick him up, because we understand that this is one more soldier that joins the movement. And more importantly than that, keep in mind that these could be the most lethal soldiers in the war against PD, because they have experience. They felt the type of people that committed the mistake are the ones that are going to be the strongest in preventing that in others. So their experience is invaluable, even just as, again, a one-to-one assessment of their ability to be noble natties and to represent. They are the ones that we want in our rank, because their expertise is precious. It can prevent future mistakes. Just like people who used to take drugs, who go to schools and who give speeches, it's so much more effective than a policeman. Why? They lived it. They went through the addiction. They went through the throes of what it means to be subjugated by that type of demon. So they can point it out and say, hey, I went through that. Don't do my mistakes. I can protect you from it. You and I, we don't have that. We are noble natties, but the existence within our core of that natural statement, this allows us from connecting with some people. If you have never been tempted, how are you supposed to help those that suffer from temptation? You're not going to be very effective. So it's also the reason why we need to take these people in. And as for these people, for those who might be watching, or for the people who are tempted by PEDs, I want to say one thing. I understand that you might be devoured by regrets. I understand also that by seeing a movement as vibrant and healthy and prideful as Noble is, it shows you something that you could have had. Because now this existence as a natural is not in the cards for you. But beyond just a name, what is being natural? In truth, I say not much of anything. Unless we discuss semantics, yes, we are natural, we are proud of being natural, but beyond that, we are proud of what it means, of what we do, of the set of action and virtues we exemplify. That's what it means. That's why I say it's not enough to just be natural. What is being natural? The refusal to take drugs, pushing away instant gratification, understanding that suffering and discipline are the way, understanding that aligning with the body is the way to go for a man. All of these go beyond just being natural. It's all in one package. And so I say for those again who don't have that, they don't have that set of values, who envy it because they see it in us, that it's also accessible for you. You might not have the status as a natural, but you can have all of the perks that come with it. At the end of the day, you just won't get to call yourself a natty, but you can call yourself a noble natty. And that is, in my opinion, much better because this creates unity. And if we need one thing in the fight against PEDs, it's unity. If we don't have that, then we don't have a purpose. We need to be united under one cause, and that one cause is fighting drug use, promoting the natural way. I don't give a fuck if you took drugs for 15 years. If you repented and you've decided that you want to actually fight against it, you are welcome. I will call you my brother, and we're going to destroy the perversive and the pernicious attempts that some people have of promoting use, because that's what I'm fighting. It's people who promote drug use, and that also encompasses naturals. You have naturals on this platform who are not noble natties. They can call themselves natties as much as they want, but they do damage because they tempt people. These are the ones I will never call my brother. So, to wrap it up, because PED use is what it is, it's super selfish, it's soul-sided, it's just poison for the soul, there needs to be an ability for those of us that never fell for that type of trick to welcome in those that need healing, that need their soul to be cleansed, and that call for it, that clamor for it. It's what we must become. The Noble Natty crew needs to be a refuge for those who want to espouse our values, regardless of their state of existence. Spreading practical virtue is always going to be our way. The identity and the pride of the group needs to be found there. Yes, we will always call ourselves noble naturals because that's what we preach. But what is found in the natural is what's important, not the fact that we are that. I hope that I was as clear as possible. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to ideologically subvert the entire movement. Further from that, I want everyone to stay natty, but I also understand that to be able to accomplish that, we cannot fall for the same type of mistakes that I've seen so many groups fall into before, that I've seen the natural movement in YouTube fall inside before, where it told people that just being natty was enough. It's not enough. You have to put in the work. So, if you're one who wants to put in the work, even if you failed, even if you faltered, you are, again, welcome. And if you feel judged by people or by yourself, most importantly, for your past mistakes, I want you to know one thing. You are forgiven, not just by me, but also by the group, I hope. But beyond that, I also want you to know that you must forgive yourself. You have done something to your body that is irreparable and inexcusable. But the best way you can actually go forward in life is to push that aside, to stop feeling all of that guilt, and to put it to good use. That energy that you feel, that regret, transform it into energy. Move forward. Understand that you have the ability to prevent many young men from falling down that path as well. So go for it, man. Join our movement. Stay on the right path. Don't jump back into drugs. Develop that pride. That pride is what is going to keep you on the right track. But it's something that I've always found. Pride is always developed the best through action. The type of pride that comes through identity alone, especially an identity you did nothing to earn, is poisonous. It is going to turn into arrogance, into hubris, and is going to perverse the entire movement. For us to remain strong and for that young movement to actually flourish and do what it's supposed to do, which is dominate, we must remain strong. We must remain virtuous. And in my opinion, that is the way to go. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.